All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So Aaron Glenn just wrapped up his rookie minicamp / OTA press conference. And man, for me, I think there were really two big takeaways that I want to hit on. But funny enough, the press conference actually reminded me a little bit of Kevin Stefanski's yesterday. I mean, kind of bouncing around the NFL, different YouTube channels and stuff like that, watching the head coaching press conferences, because all these teams are kind of doing the same thing at this section of the offseason. But Stefanski's presser from yesterday and Glenn's presser from today kind of hit on a lot of similar stuff. And really, for me, the biggest, I would say, maybe not biggest, but the most impressive thing that I felt like Glenn hit on was he was talking about different bullet points that he wants his team and coaches to really hit on in each phase of the offseason, right? We all know how the NFL does it. There's phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and so forth and so on, up until the point of final cuts, right? Regular season. But it really sounded like, in each individual phase, there are different things that, again, Glenn wants all the players, all the coaches to focus on. And it's not so much, hey, yes, we have all these important things that we have to hit on later, but that's not the goal. That's not the goal right now. The goal is X, Y, and Z. Right, so we kind of detailed it, right? Phase 1, it was more so about strength and conditioning, right? Trying to build that culture up. Phase 2 is more so focused on the learning process, right? Showing the coaching staff that you are coachable, right? That you can take what you learned and apply it on the field. Also hit on the importance of special teams, right? Showing your versatility in phase 2 of this offseason program. Phase 3, which is of course in the future, it's more so focused on what does this team look like on the field in competitive moments, right? How are we going to take this culture? How are we going to take everything that we've done so far and apply it on the field when we have to start competing against other teams, in joint practices and whatnot, and of course, competing against the guys at the same positions. So really, although that sounds like coach speak, right? Just like, oh, that, typical stuff. In the Saleh, one of my biggest issues with the Saleh regime, and Joe Douglas is kind of lumped into this as well, it just never really felt like there was like an identity, like who are we? Yeah, we're the head coach and the GM of a football team, but really, what is our bread and butter? When people think of the New York Jets, what do they think of? Do they think of a tough team? Nah, not really. Do they think of a team that runs hard? They're like a rushing ground and pound attack? No. What's the identity? No one really had an answer. And along with that came a lack of vision, a lack of a proactive approach. It always kind of felt like, and this could be utilized in a positive way, but it kind of felt like the Jets were just taking it day by day, like just focusing on winning the day. And of course, I'm sure there's plans and schedules and goals behind the scenes. But again, it just never really felt like, from a GM perspective in Joe Douglas, from a head coaching perspective in Robert Saleh, like there was ever that foresight into the future. Like, hey, you know what? We're focusing on this now, but this area over here is really important, but we're not going to do that because we're going to do that later on. It really just seems like there's a highly detailed plan. Something that I personally wasn't expecting from a first-year head coach here in Aaron Glenn. And granted, we haven't even seen a fully padded practice or a game or anything. So as the weeks go on, I'm sure we're going to get more clarity on how these things actually play out as opposed to talking about it. But, in the meantime, what we're hearing from Aaron Glenn right now, I feel like is more impressive than what we heard from the last regime. As far as just, maybe prepping for the future, having this schedule on, again, bullet points to attack throughout the offseason to come out better on the other end, both physically and mentally. Glenn talked a lot about Dan Campbell, crediting Dan Campbell as far as preparing him to be a head coach, giving him maybe opportunities back in Detroit where he could hang with the offensive side of the football and, meet with specific players. And we all know the Detroit Lions to have one of the best cultures in football. The one thing, from afar, when I'm thinking about the Lions, I think of like complete team buy-in, like ownership, front office, coaching staff, players. Everyone is on the same page. Everyone is lined. everyone is rowing the boat in the same direction. There's not this weird. There's nothing weird happening within the the organization. There's teams out there that just have weird things going on. There's situations where maybe players might question the scheme, players might question the overall leadership in place. Coaches don't trust players. It's a very, there are odd situations happening throughout the NFL, but the Detroit Lions, again, everything feels very streamlined. Everything feels very intentional and clear, right? Clarity, I guess, would be a great word for the Detroit Lions culture. What do we want? What do we need? How do we address those needs? And then, of course, put that on display on the field. So if we could get any sort of semblance from that Detroit Lions culture over in New York, especially what we've witnessed as fans over these past couple of years, I think that would be a huge, huge win. Glenn, of course, talked highly about Mason Taylor, Arian Smith, Armand Membu. Justin Fields talked about his kind of quiet leadership at the end of the presser. But I think really the other big takeaway for me, right, we talked about having that kind of foresight, that future plan, but I think it was really important when he was talking about the attendance rate, right? 90% attendance rate in phase 1, 94% attendance rate in phase 2. And of course, this is lumping in, obviously the veteran players, not just rookie minicamp here. And those two numbers are very, very good, right? We have to keep in mind that these are voluntary. You don't have to show up. You're not going to be fined if you don't show up. Now, you can definitely argue, okay, it's year 1 of a head coach, so the majority of players would like to, get in front of this new coaching staff, make a good first impression, where maybe if it was another year or a different situation, they wouldn't have shown up. But I mean, that's just living in a hypothetical, for no point. The fact of the matter is tons of players are showing up. Tons of players are showing up. I mean, the Jets website, they're showing off pictures and videos of Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner, Justin Fields, right? There's no weirdness going on. It's just like, hey, this is what's happening. We're in phase X, Y, and Z of the OTA process. Who's going to be here? Oh, turns out 90 and 94% of the roster is here, which is very, very good. So I love that. And Glenn kind of hit on the buy-in of the players. I think when you are in year 1 of a new head coach, it's so important to get off on the right foot, to create those relationships, to start building that culture the way you want to do it. Again, first impression for everybody. And I feel like, and you can talk about this with any level, high school football, college, D1, D2, whatever. If you have a new head coach coming in and those players are looking at you like, man, this guy seems fake. I'm not really buying what this guy's selling. Like, it just kind of feels a little off. We were accustomed to doing it this way, and we kind of like the old way better. We were more successful that way. It's so important that you have that trust, that coach to player trust, that player to coach trust. And again, we haven't really seen any sort of proof of that outside of attendance rate and, of course, press conferences. So we'll see, of course, how that continues to trickle along here. But in any case, up to this point, I'm loving everything that we've heard so far within these press conferences. I don't really feel like, realistically speaking, we could ask for more. So anyway, let me know your thoughts down below. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you guys. Enjoy your weekend. Happy Mother's Day too, by the way. As always, go Jets.